Pays soit tranquille, que ce soit la figure de la mer, ou bien des démons ou des hommes méchants, bien là vous fera là-bas pour se tient, le maître des cieux, terre et océans. Tout obéit à ma volonté, sois tranquille, tout obéit à ma volonté, sois
Good morning and welcome to VCU. Whether you're joining us live or online, we want to encourage you to visit vcuchurch.org. There you can find our latest announcements and upcoming events, our digital sermon outlines, also ways to give. Make sure that you're following us on Insta and on Facebook. Children's Church, you are dismissed. Welcome to VCU.
Good morning. This morning looks entirely different than what we would normally do here on a Sunday morning, but something that we want to begin to do is every year we want to come together and put a focus on the missions program that we support in Haiti. So I want you to, if you got a pen, I want you to jot this down because I want you to go to New Hope Missions International. New Hope Missions International. Google that and click on their webpage. It will be there. You may come up with several New Hope missions. You're looking for Port St. Lucie, Florida. Port St. Lucie, Florida. And click on that. And I want you to go and spend some time this afternoon or sometime today looking at their website. Not right now, and it's in the bulletin. Thank you, Heather. It's in the bulletin. So this will give you an opportunity to go on the website, see a lot of videos, see a lot of pictures. You're going to see familiar faces on that website when you do, of those of us that have been in the country and gone on mission teams and stuff down there. This morning you're getting an opportunity to hear from several of the people. I don't know where they are. You guys would like to come to the stage now, please? You know, I'm thinking this is not several people. This is 3. So come on here. But what we want to do is we want to revisit why we do what we do. If you look at this mission statement over here on the wall, you'll see that our mission statement is to lead people in a growing relationship with Jesus Christ by focusing on 4 things. The 4th thing that you see there is missions. Now, I came to VCU Church almost 33 years ago as pastor. When I came, this church had no missions program at all. Now, there were people in the church that gave individually to certain missionaries, but they didn't have an established mission program. And that was something that when I met with the elder board, I said, this has to change. We need to lock something in. And so for about 6 years, we attempted to support some Christian Union mission programs and things like this. And it was in 1996, I introduced New Hope Missions to VCU Church. And we made a decision in 1996 to make that our sole missions program, our sole mission outreach. And so we have been supporting New Hope Missions since 1996. The founder of New Hope Missions is Brent Baird. He's a local boy, grew up in Lawson, went to school in Lawson. Brent and I went to high school together. He's a year older than I am. But his brother Jeff, who also serves on the New Hope Missions board with me as well, Jeff and I graduated together. So we've known each other since we were kids. But it wasn't until 2007 that I actually visited the country with my wife, Diana, which I thought you were going to stand up here with me. So Diana and I had the opportunity to go into Haiti for the first time in 2007. We had become involved as a church with a Bible building program out of Richmond. And we were sitting down there, and Scott Elliott and I were sitting at a table, and we were building Bibles, and we were just talking back and forth. And I can't read French or Spanish, either one, and I thought we were building Spanish Bibles. I wasn't even looking hardly at the text. I was just sitting there working. We was just going away. And Farrell comes up behind me, and he said, hey, I need to talk to you for a minute. Can you come over here? And I walked over, and he goes, we need to know what to do with these French Bibles. And I said, what French Bibles? He goes, the ones we're building, dummy, these. And I said, these are Spanish Bibles. He says, these aren't Spanish Bibles. We did those last year. We're doing French Bibles this year. And I said, really? And he goes, but we have no place to send them. And I said, I think I do. And I picked the phone up, and I called Brent. And I said, Brent, could we use French Bibles in Haiti? And he said, absolutely. And so the Lord worked all of that out to where we found ourselves being able to send those Bibles in. Well, then Pharaoh come up with another bright idea. He said, what if Peggy and I and you and Diana took some of these Bibles in and distributed them and filmed it? And that was like 2 weeks away. And I said, I have no passport. You can expedite that. We can get that done. 2 weeks after that conversation, Diana and I were on a plane headed to Haiti. It was the first time we'd ever went. It was an amazing experience as to what we saw, what we smelled, what we tasted. You may hear a little bit of that this morning in some of the testimonies of the people that we'll be sharing with you this morning. But Haiti is important to the DNA of VCU Church. How many of you know anything at all about the history of Haiti? Raise your hand. Anybody? Of course you don't. Haiti is the poorest nation in the Western Hemisphere. And when you get off that plane, the first time you experience it, you see that, smell it, and you even taste it in the air. It is a very poor nation, very neglected. Let me give you a little bit of history. Haiti was founded by the French and the Spaniards, and they divided this island up. And by 1796, they had brought over 800,000 plus slaves from Africa. The most any nation had ever done, far exceeding North America or any other nation. Haiti, under the French and the Spanish rule, were bringing in slaves out of Africa by the boatloads. In 1796, for every Frenchman or Spaniard, there were 20 slaves in that country. Heavily, heavily populated. The two products that they grew was coffee and sugar. They provided 40% of all of the sugar and 60% of all of the coffee to the European nations and all. It was all done under slavery. It was the most, in all of history, it was the worst and harshest conditions of slavery in the world, was in Haiti. A revolution started by a slave that led an insurrection. He was eventually arrested and captured, but another man stepped up and took his place. And in 1804, because of the African influence among the slaves, a pact was made with Satan. Voodoo was the main religion of this country, and still today is. 100% of all Haitians believe in the reality of voodooism. 70% practice it. But 100% of Haitians respect it and fear it. Well, voodooism was the religion brought out of Africa that fueled this pact, that caused them to make a pact with Satan, that if he would give them their freedom, they would give him their land. Haiti used to be a very beautiful country. If any of you have ever been to the Dominican Republic or any of the other Caribbean islands and all, you understand the beauty of those islands down there. Haiti is not like that. When I've flown from Port-au-Prince back up to Cap-Haïtien or vice versa, you can clearly see from the air the border between the Dominican Republic and Haiti. Haiti's land is stripped of all of its beauty. It's like a fence row that you can see clearly between the two nations. When Haiti made this pact with Satan, they won their freedom, but they forfeited the soul of their land. There's a spiritual warfare in Haiti, a darkness that is experienced by everyone that goes, everyone that has ever been there, that is unlike any other place that you will ever go. And we have joined with a missions program and have planted 7 churches, 4 schools. The schools that we support have enrolled over 2,000 children. 900, only 900, a little over 900 of them, less than 1,000 of those children are personally sponsored. Sponsorship helps to feed the family. It helps to pay tuition for the child. It helps on a number of ways, and we'll talk about that more and more. But this morning when I got up, I looked at Diana and said, what's the goal for sponsorship this morning out of VCU Church? And she said, well, I think we have 5 forms. Robin told me we have 7. And I said, is that our goal? And she goes, yeah, I'd like to get all those sponsored. And I said, no, that's way too small. I had another number in my mind. I did pull back off that a little bit, but before we leave this morning, I want to see 25 children sponsored. And Robin's going to talk about that later on towards the end of our service. Everything that New Hope has ever done has been big, even though we have been small. And God has blessed New Hope Mission exponentially over the years, especially over the past 10 to 15 years. We have been growing and building more churches and educating more children and feeding more families. And the mission has expanded, and as a board member, we are excited as to what God may do. I want to share a little bit with you of our churches. This morning, the church that you were looking at was Boss Aviation. This year, we have decided to adopt pastors, to ask churches to take on the pastoral salaries of each of our 7 churches and all. We have 5 of them covered right now. We're still waiting on 2 more churches to step up and pay for the salary package of our pastors. Every church has 2 pastors. It has a senior pastor, it has a youth pastor. The total salary package is $450 a month. $300 of that goes to their senior pastor, $150 of it goes to their youth pastor. And you think, how in the world can anybody live on $300 a month or $150 a month? It's a completely different economy down there. But our church has adopted Boss Aviation. So every month, we send $450 to New Hope Missions, and we cover the salaries of those 2 pastors. So you do not have just 1 pastor. You have 3 pastors, in effect, that are doing the work down there. Actually 4 if you want to count Travis. But he doesn't get paid nothing. So, oh, there he is back there. He's the one that's got the real ugly look on his face right now. So we're heavily vested in Haiti. It's very important to us. I have been in Haiti 17 different times. I haven't been able to go since pre-COVID, but I intend to go this year. At some point in time, I'm going back to the country. I got to get back engaged with what's going on and what we're doing down there. I want to do some pastoral training down there and spend some time with the pastors and doing some teaching and some training with them. So hopefully you be praying about that. At some point in time, I get to get on a plane. I get to get out of here. And Dinah says, well, you're not going without me, because Dinah and I have an adopted Haitian son. He's 25 years old. He's a big, good-looking kid, looks just like me, his dad, except he's black and I'm not. But other than that, we look just alike. But he's a big, good-looking kid, and we're bringing him back up to America for a visit sometimes. Maybe we'll find him a wife, get him married, get him a job. Randy, be thinking about that for me. And but at some point, I promised him if he would learn English, I'd bring him to America. Well, Diana keeps reminding me he's learned English. When are you going to fulfill your promise, Dad? And he keeps asking, I can get a visa, I'm ready. And so one of these days you'll get to meet him, I'm sure. I want to read just a little bit to you about our churches. In 1990, Brent Baird was serving with another missions organization called Good Shepherd Ministry in Haiti, out of Milo, Haiti, which we have a church there in Milo. Him and a pastor by the name of Pastor Pierre Avenant was in Lemonade, a city of about 50,000 residents. There's about 10 million people that live in Haiti, in the country of Haiti. 50% or more, a little over 50% of all Haitians are under the age of 20 years old. That'll give you an idea of life expectancy of the Haitian people because of malnutrition and poverty and things like that. But this pastor, Pastor Piero and Brent, found a piece of property in Lemonade, and all of these people have seen this tree. There's a tree that's pretty well in the center of this property. It's a big tree, and you may see some pictures, of this tree. They stood underneath that tree and they asked the Lord to show them what he wanted them to do. And they started New Hope Missions. It was Brent, Diane, his wife, Pastor Pierre, and his wife, and they stood and they prayed for revival in a nation who is overwhelmed with voodooism and satanic worship. And that's how we got started. Brent came home to his own church, to his own denomination, and they turned him down and said, "You're not qualified. You're not able to do this. We are not going to support you. We're not going to back you." So Brent and Diana began to seek help through individuals. And different families, different individuals stepped up. Today, there are several churches that support New Hope Missions. We run several hundreds of thousands of dollars through the organization every year. We're feeding over 2,000 children, supporting 7 pastors in 7 churches in Haiti. But he was told he didn't know what he was doing and he would never be able to be successful at it. And the Lord said, "Oh, yes, he will." I love to be involved in things like that and to see God do the impossible. The churches that we have in Haiti is Lemonade. That church was established, and school. It also has a school in 1990. It was the very first church, the very first location and all. And it's the largest. Belay is a rural community. It was established in 1991. It also has a school. Milo, which was established in 1993, it also has a school. Boss Aviation, which is a church that we support here at VCU, was established in 2005, and it has a school. It is the poorest of all of our schools. It is in a ghetto area in Cap-Haitien. It is the most dangerous location for any of our schools to exist in. And the pastors that pastor that particular church, we have had lots of struggles, lots of issues that we've had to contend with and deal with over the years there. So it is a highly demonic voodoo area, as well as Belay is and all. We've also got a church called Barry Batant. There's no school there. It was established in 2010. I actually was able to stand on that ground before the church was built and pray with a group of pastors about building that church. And I got to see that church actually started and built from the ground up. That was the first one that I witnessed myself personally. And it was finally established in 2010. Also, Shafway, I was able to stand in a field of weeds about this tall and pray with a group of pastors, because there was a voodoo priest that lived in that community that was controlling that whole area up there. And we stood in that grass and we prayed that the Lord would let us build a church there, along with the partnership of the pastor of our church in Belay. And today there is a church there, and it was established in 2017. It's called Shafway. And then recently in 2020, we also established and built a church called SEMA that is in a very highly populated orphan area and region. And so the majority of those kids have no parents, and we do what we can to help them, to support them. That's the history in a nutshell, if you will, of New Hope Missions, how we got started and where we are today. And so I've talked long enough. I'm going to turn this over and let my wife step up, and she's going to share a little bit with you as well.
Is going to talk about the history of Haiti. I think Ralph has touched quite a bit already on it, but she has some things that she has put on her heart. So, Linda.
Oh, Haiti. My first trip there was in the spring of 2019. Ralph and Diana were going down for some kind of executive council and allowed me to go. And I think mainly other than the fact just to get to see the country, was that I had sponsored a young girl since 2009 at that time, and I had never been able to meet her. And that was one of the highlights of the trip that we went. But as we were approaching the island and getting ready to land from the plane, I looked down and I said, "Diana, why are all the white caps on the ocean?" And she said, "Linda, it's not white caps, it's trash. Very visible from the air, lots and lots of them." Haiti is an island of 10,714 square miles and has a population of 11.4 million, of which, as Ralph said, half of them are age 20 or less. It is the poorest country in the Western Hemisphere, with corruption, political instability, poor infrastructure, lack of health care, and lack of education cited as the main causes. Gang violence is uncontrolled. It is promoted by Haitian political and business leaders, and Haiti suffers a shortage of skilled laborers, and they have tremendous unemployment. 75% of the population live on $2 a day or less. In recent weeks, gangs have set fire to entire neighborhoods and police headquarters. They have held food and gas shipments at bay and delayed delivery of items from customs. They've blocked highways. Some families had no food to eat for a number of days. Now attending high school, I fund her so that she can go to a school. And as she leaves her homes in the ghetto, there's Winsey. Oh, too late. As she leaves her home in the slums of Boss Aviation and goes to school where her tuition is paid, she is a prime example of the type of child that is being kidnapped. They suppose if there is someone wealthy enough to pay her tuition, there is someone wealthy enough to pay a ransom. And thank God, Ruthna has never been targeted by these gangs. Like I said, I began supporting her in 2009. When she got out of the schools that we support, I continued to support her, and she is now in her last year of schooling in Haiti. It's compulsory for children between the ages of 6 and 12 to go to school, but only a small portion of them can attend due to lack of finances, facilities, and staff. 2/5 of the adult population in Haiti is illiterate. 4/5 of the population live in absolute poverty, and 3/5 of them are unemployed. Many areas have no clean water, no jobs, no electricity, no police, no medical care, no decent housing, or no good clothes. 80% of all the schools are privately managed by non-governmental organizations. We support New Hope's missions and help sponsor the several schools in Haiti that Ralph mentioned: Lemonade, Milo, Belay, and Boss Aviation. The children at these schools that we support receive their lunch at school, which we furnish. And for many of them, it is their only meal of the day. The roads to reach some of these schools are terrible at best. Yet these children walk to school every day. They know they'll be fed, they know they'll be cared for, and they go. When we went, it had rained, and it was like dodging ponds, not potholes in the road. It was awful. In the cities, everything is concrete. In the outlying areas, everything is dirt. Their kitchens, folks, are in their backyards if you live in a house. If you live in an apartment, your kitchen is on the roof. But right next to your kitchen, whether it be on the ground or on the roof, is also the bucket that you use for the bathroom. Tuberculosis is 10 times as high as the rest of the Caribbean chain of islands. 30,000 Haitians fall ill from malaria every year. 75% of the households lack running water. The infant mortality rate is 48.2% of deaths per 1,000 children born, as opposed to the United States, where the rate is 5.6%. Haiti has a higher rate of HIV, AIDS, and infant mortality than any other country in the Western Hemisphere. The National Risk Index rated Haiti 143 out of 148 countries. Our travels took us to different communities in Haiti, and I remember the dire conditions of housing. I don't remember seeing street signs or house numbers or mailboxes, and how Jacqueline knows or remembers where he is going is amazing to me. I do remember seeing lots and lots of trash on the beach, on the streets, everywhere. And tap-taps, they're everywhere too. It is a small truck with a camper shell on it that people ride in, and when they want to stop, they tap the side of the truck, tap, tap, and the driver stops and they disembark. I also remember seeing the small shacks on street corners about the size of a telephone booth with an opening in the front, selling some type of tickets, and it's gambling, I'm assuming, but there were always quite a few people around these little shacks. The open-air market was also an experience. Vendors were cooking food in the open to sell, and there were flies everywhere, which I assume is the same situation when these people cook outside in their kitchens. There were piles and piles of clothing that people would go through, pick out what they wanted, and then buy it. Ziploc bags floated on the air, on the water, and on the ground. Vendors fill the Ziploc bags with water and sell it to the people in Cap Haitian because there is no wells there because they're below sea level. So they take these Ziploc bags, bite off one corner, drink the water out of it, and then throw the plastic on the ground. And they're everywhere. The compound where we stayed was owned by an American family, correct? Okay. And it was beautiful. There was lush grass, pretty flowers, and towering trees. But it was completely surrounded by a 10-foot concrete wall. While we were there, there was a Haitian soccer team that was practicing out on the lawn. The only difference in them and a regular soccer team was they were all disabled. one leg gone, a hand missing, an arm not there. But I also remember the accuracy they had when they played the game. One young man had metal crutches because he was missing a leg, but he could use those crutches and run down that field faster than I could with 2 legs. What a tenacious group they were, and what a difference in lifestyles. But the same could be said for all of the individuals involved in New Hope. I was thankful that after so many years, I was able to meet the young lady that I had sponsored for so many years and her family. They lived in an apartment in Boss Aviation that was all concrete except the door. It was steel. The house was clean, but they put curtains up at every inside door. They have curtains. It was sparsely furnished, and we had to go down many streets and alleys to get to it. Some streets we had to straddle water running down the middle of the street, only it wasn't water, it was sewage. But they were very glad to meet us and thanked me many times for the support I had provided. Probably the most positive effect on me when I lived there were the people. Always smiling and laughing. Beautiful white teeth, happy, joyful eyes, wanting to be loved and hugged and just to touch them. Just as content as we could be. So pure, but yet so Thank you, Linda. We're going to hear from those of us that have been to Haiti. I was going to have Ralph and I up here, but he's talked too long already. So I'm going to say a few words about my very first trip. But before I do that, do you remember the challenge that I offered last Sunday? Is anybody going to do my challenge? Raise your hand if you're going to do my challenge. Do you remember what it was? The rice and beans that we're going to have today. It's actually really good, and I tried a plantain earlier, and it was better than Haiti's. So I'm not eating anything today except what they're serving. The rest of the day, I'm just drinking liquid. So raise your hand now and let me know so I can see and pray for all of you that are going to do it. Bless you. The challenge is to eat this. The rice and beans would be your only meal for the day, as the children that we sponsor, over 3/4 of them, probably all of them, only get the one meal, and that's why they love to come to the school, one of the reasons. I knew he
Just a
couldn't.
minute. Encourage your children to do this too. It's not going to hurt your children to go to bed hungry tonight. Let them experience this. Use this as a teaching opportunity. That there are children, real, live children, that will go to bed today without anything to eat. And I want your children to be able to experience this as well. Hunger is a reality in this country.
Okay, so my first trip, it was rather comical. Someday, when we have time, I want you to grab your pastor and ask him about our trip home. On the plane. It was hilarious. But anyway, I had only been out of the country one time, and that was on a cruise, so that didn't count. So here I go. You know, we had 2 weeks to get our passport, get our shots, all this kind of stuff. We were running like crazy. My work actually let me take time off. I didn't get paid for it, but they said, okay, we'll let you go because of the reason, which was really surprising. So here we go. We're all ready, you know, and I'm thinking this I don't know what I thought. It was because of the cruise, you know, I know how beautiful the ocean is and so on. And I know how our airports look. So we go to Florida, we fly to Florida, and then we get on this strangest looking plane I've ever seen. It was a C-3, he says.
Used to fly President Kennedy's body from Dallas back to Washington, D.C. It was that plane.
So I don't know if he told me that up front or not. I don't think he did. But anyway, it was a cargo plane. So I've never been on a small plane before, and this was definitely not a plane that I have seen at Kansas City. So here we go. I get on the plane, and there's 2 seats going up one side, and on the other side, you have these nets full of all kinds of stuff that was behind them. I'm thinking, holy cow, what have you got me into now? You know, he's always doing stuff to me. So here we go. We take off, and we're in the air, we're going, you know, we've been traveling for a little while, you know, and it's kind of new, and it's like, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. And here comes the stewardess, which was the co-pilot of the plane, and he opens up this little cabinet, and he says, anybody want a Hostess Twinkie? Who wants a drink of water? So it's a jug of water, you know, and it's like, oh my gosh, what have we got into? And we didn't even make it all the way to Haiti. We had to stop in the Bahamas to refuel.
Right there.
That's the tree at Lemonade he was talking about earlier. So, okay, we get off, and we had to get off the plane again in the Bahamas, and we hadn't ate, so we decided, okay, maybe we should trust a little bit of food. We didn't know. So we ate, we did fine. Got back on the plane, we get ready to land, and as we're coming down the runway, I'm looking at the sides, and there are gunmen standing with big old honking guns. It's like, I'm not getting off this plane. I'm not getting off this plane. Come on, Diana, we gotta go. So you get off, and you don't walk in a terminal like you do in Kansas City. You walk out off of stairs onto the runway, the pavement. And you're looking around, and you're seeing all these guns, and they don't look very nice, just to say the least. So they take us inside. Peggy and Farrell did not ride that plane with us. They rode the real plane. I don't know how that happened, but they did not ride our plane. So we get in there, and Brent is with us, and it was a little room that was maybe a fourth this size in here. And scary, oh my goodness, it was scary to a little Missouri country girl. And they're taking our luggage, they're opening it up, they're rummaging through it, and you've got this person yelling this one, and you're like, I don't know what you're saying. What do you want me to do, you know? And so it was quite an experience. And so we finally get all that done. We walk outside, and there was just people everywhere. They wouldn't even hardly let us walk. And we're trying to pull our luggage behind us, and I'm just grabbing Ralph, just tried to hold on to him. And they're just trying to sell you, you know, they've got belts and all kinds of things just hanging off of them, trying to get us to buy something from them. And Brent just says, come on, come on, come on, come on. So that was my first experience in Haiti on a plane. And the going home, again, talk to Ralph about that one. But they take us to this compound that was not the beautiful one he was talking about. This is, again, my first time. And Peggy is not a countryish kind of girl either, if you know who she is. So we go in, we pull into this compound. Again, there's a gunman at the gate. I'm thinking, holy cow, what kind of place is this, you know? And so they open the gate, they let us in, and we go into this compound, and it's like I'm just standing there looking, okay, I love to camp, I love the outdoors, I'm not so sure about this, you know? And so we find our room, we go on in, and I guess Farrell had seen what was in the bathroom, and so they were trying to keep Peggy and I out. And pretty soon you hear this whop, whop. What is going on? I don't know if you guys have ever seen those big old jumping cockroaches, but they're like this big, and they were just hopping everywhere in the bathroom along the shower. I did see some later because he didn't get them all out before I took a shower. So you could imagine the screams. But anyway, Ralph laughs at me that night. They had netting around the bed, and I'd never slept in a bed that had netting. And I thought, after what I saw today, there ain't nothing getting in this bed with me. So we had separate beds. And so he walks in after taking his shower, and I'm just sitting there with my clothes on, no pajamas. I'm just sitting there with my clothes on, and I have taken that net and I have tucked it completely underneath the mattress. So I said, there is nothing getting in here. And he said, what are you doing? That's not how you're supposed to do it. And I said, he says, and you don't have your pajamas on. I said, if anybody comes in here and takes me, I am having my clothes on. So that was just a little bit of the first trip. But anyway, we went, at that time we had a missionary. It was a horrible thing to see, some of the things that they showed us as we walked through the back streets of Cap-Haïtien, which is the large city. Peggy had a woman ask her to take her baby because she knew Americans are rich. Every one of us are rich. And we would take care of her baby. And so we just stood there and bawled because we knew that, that couldn't happen. So, Daryl takes us on through the streets and so forth. This is the trip where we took the Bibles. So we go to the church, the first church, and we thought this is going to be so cool. We're going to get to hand out these French Bibles. So we're up there, we got the boxes ready, and we actually got swarmed. We couldn't even move. The people they just encircled us, and it was hard to breathe. Peggy, we were all starting to lose our breath. It was, and so finally the pastor, the ones got control of the situation, and they had never had Bibles. And we were also told that they take them out on the streets and sell them. So that's why they wanted them so bad, for two different reasons. And so, of course, the other churches, we kind of had control of that. First time I had an experience with all the children, we decided we were going to bring candy. And we were going to throw it out to those kids. And after their classes were out, they came out. And they just, again, the little ones, they just come around you. And I remember I had my ring on, and all of a sudden I felt all these little hands grabbing my hand, and there goes my hand, and I'm going, what are they doing? And they're looking at my ring, and so I immediately had to close my hand because I thought my ring was going to disappear. It's things like that they don't see. Pretty soon you feel them touching your face, and you're going, what are they doing? They're all over me. And so then I realized I'm white. So they don't see very many white people at that point. So it was a real experience. But I'm going to cut mine short because we have a lot more to go. One thing I learned after that trip, and we came home, and some of the things that we experienced for a long time after that trip, it really touched our hearts. And actually, one of the things Ralph said when he got home was, our dirt is even clean. But we found after seeing and visiting, touching, smelling, that we actually love these people as our friends. They are definitely our friends. And they don't know, the children don't know that they're poor. Our children, I tell you, we are so spoiled here. We are so spoiled. But we love them. And we continue to sponsor and take care of them. And I think Ralph has something to say.
Travis, let's do this like we do in Haiti. For respect of time, all of you are familiar with how we do this. At the end of the day, we always come together, and what do? We ask one question. What is the Lord showing you today? Start with you, Alexandria. Tell us what the Lord has shown you in a brief manner. What has happened in your life?
So I went to Haiti in high school, but the main thing the Lord showed me while I was there is that He is there. Like, I had really bad anxiety. I tried to back out numerous times. And like through all of my excuses, He was like, nope, you're going. Nope. And then I remember never been on a plane, never gone out of the country. I get there and it's like an overwhelming feeling of peace. Like, I have never felt the Lord so present. And that was all.
I have so many things that I'm trying to like narrow it down. I want to share a story, probably the biggest story that has come out of my trips to Haiti, and I don't think hopefully nobody else is going to share the same one, but there is what we call the voodoo tree in Haiti where Pastor Duxon fought with the Lord. He's the pastor at Belay, and he tells a story where he fought with the Lord for a year about going up and preaching in Shafway. He knew the Lord was calling him to preach up there, but it was such a voodoo-ridden area that he was scared. And he finally went up. There's a trail that you can walk from Belay to the area in Shafway, and there's a tree right in the middle of the path that they used to hold voodoo ceremonies in. Completely dead tree, hollowed out in the center, where they would light a fire and the smoke would go up through the trunk of the tree. But he started going up there to preach, and people started coming and listening and getting saved, and that tree came back to life.
Amen.
When he was up there preaching, and it started producing fruits, a mango tree, and it is huge now. And it's he says that it was just the Lord showing off to bring that tree back to life, and that he's proving to the people that he is life, not the voodoo.
Katie, what did the Lord show you?
So the Lord, obviously, here we have happiness. Happiness is a lot different than joy, though. When you're in Haiti, you see that true joy.
Amen.
The people, the children are just overwhelmed with joy, and they have absolutely nothing. And something that my child, first off, is a huge hillbilly, but he loves peeing on our front steps. So here, that's something that's really cool. And I try to tell him, he's almost 3, so he doesn't get it. But I tell him, Kessler, in Haiti and other places in the world, they don't get to do this for fun. This is what they have to do every day. They go to the bathroom outside every day. And to him, one day he'll understand, I like being outside. But right now he doesn't. But another thing is the greed that we have here. Whenever you're there, I remember at Boss Aviation, which, like they've said, is one of the poorest places, the most dangerous place, the kids that are eating, there's not enough spoons to go around, so the children, some of them are eating with their hands, but some of them are patiently waiting for the only meal that they have that day for someone else to finish a spoon so that they can use it. And I just think of the small children in my life, and there is no way that there is any waiting for someone else's spoon. They are going to throw a fit. They're not going to share their food, even if it's the 12th meal they've had that
Lord showed me that the guy with the knife gets to make the boots. That's the way it works, all right? I want to share a little story, too. The first time I went to Haiti, I got to meet the little boy, one of the little boys that we sponsored. And he was, I don't know, maybe 7 or 8 years old. And we were talking to him through an interpreter. And Ralph gets the bright idea that we should go to this boy's house. The boy had just met me. His parents had no idea. So Ralph says, how far is your house? Oh, not far, not far. So here we go. We all take off to the little boy's house. We're going down these narrow trails. They weren't even roads. It was rock trail. And I remember one spot in particular was so steep that we placed guys a couple of spaces next to a tree so we could catch people as they slid down. And of course, he's wearing his nice shoes and stuff on this trip. And I don't know, every 5 minutes or so, Ralph said, you said it wasn't far, right? It's not far, right? No, not far, not far. So finally we make it up to this little boy's house, and there's 3 generations living in this little, we didn't go inside. I'm guessing it was one room, little house. And they were feeding his grandmother on the front porch. She couldn't eat by herself. They were feeding her, and it was gruel. It wasn't what we would consider food. In fact, it wasn't the nice food that we're going to have for lunch today. It was gruel. She couldn't hardly chew it. She was coughing. She was hacking. So we asked her interpreter, "What's wrong?" "We don't know. She can't go to the doctor." "What do you mean she can't go to the doctor?" "Well, there's no roads here. There's no way to get a car to her. We would have to carry her down that same trail that we came up with, and they didn't have a way to carry her." So,